Welcome guys on my YouTube channel Tax Planning Internazionale. I'm Luca Tagliatella, an international tax planner traveling around the world looking for the best places where not to pay taxes. And today we hosting here in the beautiful Malta a very dear colleague, a friend of mine, an international tax lawyer as well, is Mr. Silvio Cilia. Hi Silvio, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you, Luca, for the opportunity to come to your channel.
It's my pleasure, really. A long time no see, but I'm so delighted to be in Malta once more to talking about taxes, because this is a channel where we focus about international tax trends, about relocation plan, about international tax structuring. And when it comes to taxes, Malta is known as one of a kind of tax haven, let's say, in a way. But now,
I don't like to use the word anymore, but
exactly. So YouTube can ban us in case if you say this kind of word. So it's not a tax haven.
We like to use the term business efficient jurisdiction.
And I appreciate
more
you to
appropriate, I
be
think.
a lawyer in this very moment, very, very much. So let's start from the beginning. So Silvio, please tell us something more about yourself. So who you are, how long have you been in the field, why taxes?
Yes, I am Dr. Silvio Cilia. I am a tax lawyer trained in Malta and the Netherlands. I specialize in international tax. I've been practicing in this field for the past 20 plus years. My specialty is, and that's also my firm, Corriere Cilia, is to advise clients that are thinking of Malta as a base for doing business. So we assist clients basically to be aware and to implement what Malta has to offer as a tax jurisdiction for companies, for individuals, for personal tax and immigration, for various corporate setups that are available in the country. As I said, tax is a large part of what we do, but in general we are assisting businesses and high net worth clients to render their businesses and process and lifestyle more efficient from a business and tax point of view.
Wonderful. And we get to this in a bit. But let's start from international tax approach, meaning which are, in your opinion, the international tax trends that will shape the 2025? Let's take it from the universal standpoint, and then we go to Malta.
Yes, let's say we are living in interesting times. Let's say in the past 20...
It's always been like this,
It's always been interesting. Let's say every year I say we're in interesting times, but it seems to be getting more and more interesting all the time. There's never a dull moment, honestly, although, people tend to think of tax as a boring subject, but if you're really in
They're not. They're not everything but boring.
It's definitely anything but boring. I think also now the advent of the Trump presidency in the US has added a lot of spice to this discussion. Basically, the world has, Europe and the world has been moving towards a situation where, let's say, the pendulum has in the past few years has shifted in sort of a left-wing kind of way, in the sense that, the way I see it, there is more and more political appetite for politicians to demand that international groups pay their fair share of tax, and sort of the political discussion has been very much focused on this.
Yes, since 2015.
Since even
before
that,
BEPS came,
BEPS was one of the biggest, the first, the most important moves in this sense. Let's say if you want to discuss really what's happening right now, it's the Pillar 2 and the Pillar 1 discussions, basically digital services taxes and global minimum taxation, basically. If you had to really distill these two concepts in a very brief words, is how do we make multinationals such as Facebook, Google, whatever, who are mainly based in the US, and they are making money in Europe, in wherever in the world, how we can use our current international tax principles to make these companies pay their fair share of tax in the jurisdictions where they are making the money, which is also in Europe. So that's a big crucial bone of contentions. I don't think the current rules allow for that. So many countries in Europe, the OECD, whatever, they are proposing measures to really attack this point. But of course, that does not go down well with the U.S. administration, and
Sure.
and especially especially now with the Trump administration, it was always a bone of contention.
Very true.
And also, when it comes to Pillar 2, basically the idea that multinationals have to pay at least 15% somewhere. We don't really care where, but they have to. They can't be paying 0.02 with some sort of Irish double sandwich or something like that, or wherever.
All good times.
The reality is that these multinational groups have a lot of firepower and means to exploit the deficiencies and loopholes in various countries' international tax systems, and they have been doing this for many years.
Yes.
With the result that income tax is almost a non-existent thing for them in general, because of the planning potentials, possibilities that they had. And of course, there was a reaction to this. We've moved on. I mean, and countries, especially in Europe, the OECD is very also
Sure.
the EU have really pushed in this sense, and have been pushing a lot.
Yeah, maybe too much.
For maybe,
if I may say.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that would also be my opinion. Is it a bit too much?
We have
A
to
bit
stop
too
this.
much.
No, but thing is, seriously, there is a never-ending fighting between, apparently at least, between governments and multinationals.
Yeah.
So in these last 10 years, as you were saying, of course there is a political pressure about this.
Yeah.
And now it's very interesting your point of view, because of the new Trump administration. Things probably are gonna get changed, or maybe are gonna get paused for a while. Let's see what happens, because in this very moment, it's March 25, I'm gonna say for the YouTube channel. Yeah. Things are not very clear. Let's say markets are collapsing. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let's say, like,
anyway, you see this kind of fighting.
Yes, I'd say the difference with Trump is that there is no mask, there is no diplomatic views of language. It's just
Yes.
Trump says the things how they are. So before, the previous administration maybe was a bit more cautious, but now it's just literally masks off,
It doesn't
gloves
care
off. This is the
about
way it is.
diplomacy. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly. We're the strongest country in the world. We don't really care what you've been doing. This is the way it is, and that's it.
I see.
So yes, I am quite doubtful of the future of Pillar 2, at least for the time being. So
I do think
whereas
so.
I do understand the concept and the motivation, also the political drive behind such a thing. I think it will be very hard to make progress in this, and unfortunately, I am not sure now what the EU and the OECD will do as a result of these new political developments at the moment. So I'm afraid that if they keep pushing really hard to get these measures along, there's going to be lack of competition and lack of competitiveness, especially for groups that are based in the EU and the other OECD countries, which have really made an effort and implemented most of these rules already.
In Italy, we did a lot about it.
Yes. In Malta, we also implemented these rules.
What about Malta? So
yes.
exactly how Malta is adapting to these new challenges, and since things seems to be stopped now, probably there used to be some law degrees in progress, that now maybe it won't see the light.
We actually have implemented the directive, because of the EU version of the Pillar 2 measures. However, we have taken the option to postpone the implementation of the financial parts of the directive, basically, until 2029. So,
Okay.
with the reason being that, given Malta, the size of Malta, and that the fact that we have, I think, less than 12 multinationals would be within scope of the rules, we have taken advantage of a concession to postpone the actual implementation of the financial parts of this.
Actually, and sorry to interrupt you, because just even for our audience, so multinationals has to be taxed, because everybody has to pay his fair share of taxes. but we sometimes forget that they build business, they employs people, sometimes thousands of people. So
Yes.
in a way, it's right to it might be right to levy taxes on them. On the other side, we forget about the wealth that they may build, and I guess even in Malta, the story is pretty the same.
Yes, I mean, this applies across the board, not just for multinationals, even smaller businesses. Just to put everyone in perspective, the Pillar 2 rules, the global minimum tax of 15% applies to multinationals with a turnover of more than 750 million as a group, which is not your mom and pop business. It's not a small and medium-sized enterprise. We're talking of our target group is the large multinationals. The idea behind these is that these entities are more global. They have a greater ability to structure their affairs across the globe in a way to exploit loopholes and mismatches between the international tax systems of various countries. And this has been, very obvious, especially with the US multinationals, who have, they are very software tech, IP based. They can relocate their assets, taking advantages of
Easily.
what Malta offers, what Ireland offers, what Luxembourg offers, whatever, Singapore, Cayman, wherever.
Sure.
And they have had a very good time with it.
They make agreements with governments to do this.
Yes.
Rulings,
And
technically
unfortunately,
speaking.
the problem is that most of these entities are based in the US, whereas the EU industry is more kind of manufacturing, is more land-based.
Used to be.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't have the same tech giants that
No,
we have. So it's starting to look more and more like an EU versus US or US versus rest of the world
Okay.
challenge.
It's a
So
fight.
again, it's going to be very hard to dislocate the pure legal and the geopolitical. So nowadays it's a purely geopolitical. I see the geopolitical struggle.
I agree.
And the US made it very clear that this is not going to pass. And so what do we do?
What do we do? So we sit and wait.
What do we do? How can we propose and push for rules, global rules, without having the US on board? And of course also, China, Russia, or they have no clue and no intention to follow these rules. So my question is, if we keep pushing with this idea that we really have to, subject multinationals to this digital services taxes, these global minimum taxes, are we shooting ourselves in the foot? Is Europe driving itself
What are
more
we
and
trying
more,
to do
more and
here,
more
no?
into the
To-
ground? Yes. I mean, nowadays, in the last few weeks, it was like a watershed moment in Europe. What do? The US has abandoned us. We need to have our own defense. We have to be
The
more
financial
competitive.
markets reflected exactly this kind of panic.
Exactly. I have a feeling that there is going to be a huge change in mentality, which is very much required, I think. And all these efforts need to be kind of revisited in the light of what happens. Literally, it's been 2 weeks, but it's been like an eternity.
It is.
It's like the dawn of a new era.
That's the feeling.
And I don't think we can go back,
No.
to
We can't handle.
end of February. I'm speaking like a cataclysm has happened in the last 2
Yes,
weeks.
it seems so.
Yeah.
It's an apocalypse, actually. I can see.
Actually, yes.
Everybody, thanks everybody.
It is obvious that globalization is dead, or sort of in a coma.
Yes, better definition probably. It's sort of a coma. So it might be the dawn of a new era, but
Yes.
there's something to get done in the between. So let's hope for the
I
best.
think we need to sit down and revisit all these. Speaking of Pillar 2, it was already struggling and
Yes, even
before
Trump.
Before Trump.
It took forever,
So-
to.
So the US was already, making it clear. This is not. We have our own rules. We have, guilty and or similar rules, which we don't really need this. We're not going to play ball. And again, the question is, how can you have these rules, which are mainly intended for most of the multinationals which are in the US, with the US not playing ball, not being
I
reciprocal.
totally agree.
So-
And actually, since you as me travel a lot, even for business, and you take part to International Tax Law Congress, I guess this might be the opinion of of many colleagues of ours these days.
Exactly. I'd say I don't go to any international tax conferences where Pillar 2 is not the top topic of discussion.
Exactly.
There is nothing else to talk about. Really.
Makes sense. So thank you very much for your honest opinion about it. I actually tend to agree. Let's see what it happens. Maybe in a year or so, we'll be sitting here talking about it, and maybe we'll be having a crystal vision about it. So why don't we focus now on what you do best, which is advising people of Maltese tax system implications. You know, Malta has developed a very interesting tax system in these last 30 years or so.
Yes.
And so my question is, which are the tax advantages a business or an investor can take out of Malta and compared to some other jurisdiction within the European Union? Since we are at war, as you say, you know, like even if we are within the same European Union borders, it seems like each and every country runs for themselves.
Yes, and I don't know how long this will last, but in
the European Union or the competition?
The tax competition, yes, because that's another topic which maybe we can discuss. But
yes.
But so far, every country in the EU has sort of retained most of the sovereignty in terms of taxation. So countries have been able to design their own tax system in a way which is beneficial for their economy, for their people, according to their political preferences and the way they see themselves as a country. So we have the Nordic countries that that they are very kind of high tax but high services. Sort of they need to collect as much tax as possible in order to sustain their welfare state.
Of course.
Same I guess is Italy, France, Spain. And then we have island economies like Malta, Ireland, Cyprus, which are kind of limited in their kind of industrial capacity, and which have developed into more services-based economies. And we
may say Malta and Cyprus are very much linked to each other.
We are friendly competitors in a way. We have very similar.
A nice definition.
We have a very similar product offering, I would say. But
you speak a better Italian as a Maltese.
Well, Cyprus they speak better Greek for sure.
And Russian.
Well, that's true, because obviously the geography is obviously what it is. I would say I could start and never finish on this topic, but Malta could have been part of Italy. If it wasn't part of the British Empire,
How many Italian in percentage as far as on the island? Like thousands of Italians in Malta.
Countless. We are Italians in a way.
In a way.
If you see my name, we are actually Sicilian blood.
True.
We are even closer to Sicily than is Pantelleria, Lampedusa, etc. But so the fact that we were part of the British Empire, we sort of remained out of the process of unification of Italy in the mid-19th century.
Yes.
So we became our own island. That is really what makes us unique as a proposition in the Mediterranean.
And you like it like that. I mean, so you never think as a people, as a country, to join somehow the Italian border, no? Something out of the scope of the politics.
I think not say
it's not going to happen
unless there's some global cataclysm and all that
which is happening, by the way.
But I think we're enjoying and we're doing quite well as an independent state so far. We
stay like that.
Yes,
trust me.
Yes, I think honestly, to be honest with you, I don't know if this is within the scope of the discussion, but we would never have been able to propose ourselves as we do. If it wasn't the fact that we were independent from Italy. So
of course,
basically, if I would be working in Milan, probably doing something else. If
close to me.
Exactly. So if Malta was part of Italy, there would not be much financial services going on in Malta. But that is a result of the fact that as a small island, economy, we need to survive. We need to invent something for ourselves. You know, after the British left, Malta was desolate, empty. There was nothing here. No industry. So we needed to start from scratch. You know, we started with tourism, an airline. Then in the 80s and the 90s, we started exploring financial services.
You did great.
We did, yes, I think so. So we started with shipping, which was a fantastic industry for Malta. I think it's still one of the top 10 in the world, and certainly top in Europe.
And still it is like this. Shipping is one of the best.
Yes, I think as a flag is the most important in the EU for both for commercial vessels and as well as yachts. You know, yachts is a big industry as well. If you go to Cannes, you know, you will see every other yacht is a Maltese flag nowadays. Yes. That's
for a reason.
Yes,
we're not going to disclose this in this video.
It's for a reason. It's a combination of regulation and obviously tax advantages, and you know, in general, the way we do business as opposed to other countries which are our neighbors.
Which other country is your worst or best points of view competitor when it comes to shipping? Panama?
Of course, Panama, yes, Liberia, Cyprus as well, Greece.
But let's say within the Mediterranean, there's no competition.
Well, there is competition. It's just we're much stronger.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's what I meant.
Coming to this discussion, after shipping, I think we explored the idea of being an offshore jurisdiction when the word offshore was still kind of popular, was still sexy in a way, you know. But nowadays, you know, we don't use that word anymore. I think we've evolved dramatically from those days, in line, of course, with what's happening in the rest of the world. I think, but still, we have managed to retain a jurisdiction which is very effective for various reasons, which I will explain. Also consistent. I think, from experience, what our clients really like is the consistency of the approach. One, from a political perspective, we do not do this as a sort of sidekick or a hobby. We do it like our life depends on us. So
sure.
There is no kind of cross-party discussion yet, at least, hopefully, about whether Malta should be offering itself as a hub for international business.
So Silvio, tell me something. Because I see this in each and every country where I go. There are a lot of investors and businessmen that come to a place and make a lot of mistakes. You know, maybe because they don't know the right people, maybe because they misunderstand the way business works or taxes works in a specific country. And I guess you see this happening in Malta as well. So which are the main mistakes you would say people do when it comes to doing business in Malta?
Okay, I think, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes is to just follow trends. Let's say, I think this is, you know, something I experienced for many years of working in this field, is that people already come with an idea of what they want to do in Malta and what products and what companies and what structures they want, because they've seen it from their business partners or their friends, or there's a lot, you know, sometimes, you know,
humor.
Yes, trends, fashions. So okay, and of course Malta is very well known, you know, for some specific things. I mentioned shipping before. I mentioned companies, you know, and I have to say it's probably the case that Malta is the lowest effective tax jurisdiction in the EU still, because of our tax refund system, which is, you know, still in effect and still very popular. But it's not the only possible advantage that you can have in Malta.
Great.
Malta offers a lot of products. Also, from a corporate perspective, it's not just the refund system. There is a very effective holding regime. So I think most of my work nowadays is actually structuring and managing holding companies for clients. But there is a lot of other possibilities, you know. We're talking about entities that are not companies, especially like partnerships, trusts, foundations.
Very interesting.
There's a lot of possibilities in the regulated sphere as well, when you're talking about financial services, when you're talking about gaming. Nowadays there is also crypto, which is an up-and-coming trend, where Malta has been, you know, at the forefront of regulating this space. and Daniel is attracting.
You started
a lot
regulating
Yes,
the
yes,
field
yes,
many years
and
ago.
A number of big players are already based here. Yes, so the possibilities of using Malta as a base for doing business are almost infinite.
Nice.
The thing is, not every client knows about them. So
Not really. I will let them.
Let's say okay, we want to do a foundation. Okay, maybe it's Liechtenstein because everyone goes to Liechtenstein, but there is plenty of opportunities using
Pretty
Maltese
much
foundations.
every
for
business can
example.
take some advantages. So you were
Yes.
saying iGaming is one of the most popular
Yes.
business
Yes.
field in Malta. Blockchain, technology,
Blockchain technology is up and coming.
even investment fund.
Investment funds is there is a very technical and competitive regime when it comes to structuring of funds, collective investment schemes, and similar investment structures for private equity, for hedge funds, etc., etc.
But still, you follow the EU rules, directives when it
Yes.
comes to investment fund, of course.
Of course. So that's a totally different field.
Sure.
We could discuss for
No, forever. Absolutely, absolutely. I see. Even Maltese trust are very interesting from each and every point of view. Very rich family from all over the world have in very important trust in Malta.
Yes.
Usually, like clients go for Swiss law when it comes to trust, but
yes.
probably because they don't know about
Yes, because
Maltese.
there are general trends in international
Exactly,
taxation.
that
And
you were
in
saying.
principle, there is
Everybody does.
Yes. Also, Malta is very good on certain trends. I mentioned the refund system regime, the holding with participation exemption regime. There's the shipping, the gaming. Obviously, we're not top of the trends for every single product that we offer, but their products are there for those who would like to make a bit more research and get to know what we offer as a jurisdiction.
But he has to deal with a professional,
Exactly.
otherwise he won't get to see.
Exactly.
That's the other problem of Malta, if I can say.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, sorry for saying this, it's a jungle, but it's true all over the world, by the way.
The world is a jungle. I would say.
The world is a jungle itself. So allow me to say there are many professionals, let's rephrase it, but not all of them are very much skilled. And that's what I say to my audience all the time. Just look at least at our LinkedIn profiles. When you deal with some professional, at least do some search more. And when it comes to complicated matters, of course, it's better to rely on professionals who are in this field since 20 years or so, and deal with international tax matters, because each and every problem should be addressed differently. It's a different challenge. Whilst, and this is very true, unfortunately, because of, and this is what I'm trying to do with my channel, a little bit of education even on taxes, because everybody speaks on taxes, but most of them they don't know anything about it in the end of the day.
Let's say there are a lot of professionals in this field who are focused purely on the implementation. So they
Corporate services.
Yes, they need to receive a set of instructions and they implement those instructions. As a firm, we focus a lot on the structuring. So this is our motto. Structured thinking, which I came up with many years ago. It's that we start with an efficient structure and then we implement it, not the other way around. So I think that's very important to know all the options out there, but especially to know whether that structure is going to work in the general bigger picture of the client, the group, or the high net worth client. Because a lot of things may work in this jurisdiction, but may create problems in other jurisdictions. So, as international tax lawyer, that is the foundation of our training, is to understand the interaction of tax regimes on different countries between each other. There's no such thing as international tax. It's just the relationship of different tax systems in various countries.
So as a professional, we are requested to have a broader approach to the subject,
exactly.
Not only the country tax implication.
Yes,
So.
as a professional, we need to have the courage to tell, listen, this will not work for you, this will work for you. It's not just about sales, it's also by giving,
I appreciate you saying this, because I say this all the time, but they don't trust me, so it's good to hear it from some other professional.
Yes, and I do it at the cost of looking bad with the client sometimes and giving the bad news. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it works.
Great.
In order to have an effective tax situation, I think you need to make some sacrifices nowadays. Not we are talking before, the good old days of the 80s and 90s are not there anymore. So clients who want to achieve a good international effective tax result obviously need to make some sacrifices and also to be ready to invest in their.
But in the long run, it's going to be better.
Yes, I hope.
Great.
I believe that.
So we can say Malta is still a very valid option within European Union.
Yes, I think on various fronts. I think
both for HNWI and corporates.
Yes, both for companies and individuals. So when it comes to companies, as you mentioned, there is this still very effective 5% with a refund. So Maltese companies do pay 35% tax, but there is a refund system or a consolidation basis between companies that effectively arrives at 5%, which is the lowest effective rate in the EU. As a holding jurisdiction, Malta is magnificent for sure. I think that is probably the most appealing.
Holding company is the key.
Is the key in Malta. A holding company
it's totally exempted.
It's mostly exempt on income that qualifies for the participation exemption. Also, the fact that there is no withholding tax on dividends, interest, and royalties going out of Malta makes it a very neutral, very effective place to hold investments. That's still the case. But there are many other reasons why one would want to come to Malta. One of the most important reasons, which is kind of overlooked if you're just talking about tax, not just about tax, the fact that we are a kind of an Anglo-Saxon jurisdiction, a British-based jurisdiction, because we were part of the British Empire.
Commonwealth.
Makes us totally different from anyone else in the Mediterranean. You can compare us to Ireland, maybe to UK, to Jersey.
Yeah, UK once upon a time.
Yeah, maybe. UK, yes, we once upon a time. But the fact that Malta follows that kind of rule-based system is more appealing to international clients because English is the international language. We do all our business in English. The authorities do all our business in English. Our legal and tax system is very familiar to people who have worked in the UK, in Jersey, the Channel Islands, etc., Cyprus as well. So although, for example, there could be other countries in Europe which offer low taxes, but they do not have the language advantage, the efficiency that our public law system is centered around taxation. About corporate setting up a company is much more simple, let's say, than in Italy or Germany. You don't need a notary.
You have the certainty of law.
Yes, exactly. So the system
the law stays the same for decades.
Exactly. That's another point which good you mentioned. As in Malta, I think what our clients really appreciate is that we do not change our system. Our system has been there for 30 years.
Tell me about it.
Slight modifications, but changes in government don't affect this. So
good.
So that's been very important, and that's what my clients really appreciate. That not, the government's going to change next year, everything's going to go away, or even EU changes. We still try to do as much as we can, even within the context of international developments and in the context of EU developments, to keep our system as intact, as competitive as possible.
Great. So we can say, in terms of taxes and not only, the future of Malta is brighter and brighter. So Silvio, thank you very much for having me and on our channel Tax Planning Internazionale. Thank you to our audience. So guys, put your finger on subscribe so to stay tuned. I'm Luca Tagliatella, this is Tax Planning Internazionale. If you need advice, serious advice, please guys, click the link below. I will see you in the next video.